But anyhow, on this article here, the U.S. government posted a surplus in June. How often do we talk about the U.S. government having a surplus?
Not with this deficit.
We've never talked about it before. I don't think we've ever mentioned this in the history of this show. As tariffs gave an extra bump to a sharp increase in receipts, Treasury Department said Friday, with government red ink swelling throughout the year, last month saw a surplus of just over $27 billion following a $316 billion deficit in May.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
What's minus $316 billion plus $27 billion? I think it's still negative billion. However many negative billion it is, it's still quite a lot.
280.
Or like, yeah.
5?
It's numbers for sure. We know it's
like
numbers. That brought the fiscal year.
Let me bring Parker in to do the math.
Well, that was funny yesterday. That was a good time. That brought the fiscal year-to-date deficit to $1.34 trillion, up 5% from a year ago. Now, while all the people are celebrating.
So, by the way, this is June, and so half the year we're negative 1.34 trillion.
It's not half the fiscal year. The fiscal year starts in October. It ends in September. So the fiscal year starts in October of the previous year. So it's a little more than half. But it is up 5% from a year ago. So even though people are talking about, oh, yeah, look at this awesome surplus we got, the deficit's still running above what the deficit was running. With a calendar year adjustment, now that's where you start your year in January and not start your year in October, which is how we actually measure the fiscal year of the U.S. So I don't even know why we need to talk about it this way, but whatever. The calendar year adjustment deficit actually edged lower by 1%. Just so you know, that doesn't matter. What matters is the fiscal year deficit. So I don't even know why that's in there. A 13% increase in receipts from the same month a year ago helped bridge the gap, with outlays down 7% for the year. Receipts are up 7%, while spending has risen 6%. So write down all those numbers as I say them, okay? Increasing tariff collections are helping shore up the government finances. Customs duties totaled about $27 billion for the month of June, up from $23 billion in May, 301% higher than June of 2024. That is a payment in taxes by American companies who get their money from American consumers, up 301% from the previous year. Let me just say that out loud the way that it actually matters to all of us.
So who's paying for it?
We'll see. I don't know.
It's these rich, greedy corporations.
I think it's China paying for it right now. Yeah. I think that's what's happening. On an annual basis, tariff collections have totaled $113 billion, which is 86% more than a year ago. We got the across-the-board 10% tariffs, a whole bunch of other random tariffs. Trump doesn't know what the tariffs are. The countries don't know what the tariffs are. CNBC, who wrote this article, they don't really know exactly what the tariffs are, but they're tariffs, and we know that.
When you go to the airport, you see a lot more people shopping in those duty-free stores now.
Yeah, a lot more. The Treasury Department.
That's a great time to get in on the duty-free malls there.
There's a
just go to the customs side of your local airport.
I've never done that before, but I see people in there. I've walked through there and I'm like, I didn't come here to buy the largest bottle of alcohol you've ever seen. Like, that's not why I'm here. Plus I got to carry it around with me all over the place.
You
would
have
weird.
Back in the day. I mean,
probably. Actually, I probably have done that before. The Treasury Department.
Cigarettes.
This is an important sentence we'll come back to here soon. The sentence negates the headline of the story, but whatever. The Treasury Department noted that the month benefited from calendar adjustments, without which the deficit would have been $70 billion.
This is at the end of the end of the article.
So we'll come back to that here in a second. So there's some of these big pages, like the C3 page that I see get a lot of reposts, a lot of views out there. It just lists out under Biden, here's the deficit for June 21, June 22, 23, 2024. Trump, June 2025, $27 billion surplus. All it took was the golden age. That's what we're in, is the golden age. That's what this is evidence of. Sean Farash says, has anyone heard from Thomas Massey about the government running a surplus of $27 billion in June? I thought he cared about stuff like that. That's a result of the tariffs, by the way, which he opposed. Massey is a massive fraud. So Massey, of course, against the tariffs in general, and also against the president's unilateral authority to just levy taxes on the American people, without Congress saying so. Whatever. Who cares? I'm just going to say that a lot today. Like, we just got to, eventually you just got to give up on these people. That's how I feel sometimes, I'm sure Thomas Massie would be very happy that we were running the surplus. Of course, initially when I saw this, I'm like, okay, we ran a surplus for a month of June. Are we going to run surpluses for the rest of the year? We just ran a $316 billion deficit the month before that. That's a pretty big deficit the month before that. And we're going to run a deficit next month, and more than likely all of the other months too, for the rest of the fiscal year. And we're going to end up spending about $2 trillion more than what we're going to take in. Like, no one questions this.
Minus 27 billion.
Yeah, so. Minus this. Yeah. But then, there's some problems with this. Before we get into the tariff conversation, who pays for it, and the new news that came out this morning, this whole thing is disproved by that calendar adjustment, because it turns out that it is known and it's noted in the Treasury statement on their unexpected surplus that it's due to a calendar adjustment. And here's what happens, essentially. Payments for things like military, active duty, retirement, veterans benefits, Social Security, insurance, Medicare, all those things, they get paid out on the first of the month. But if the first of the month, if June 1st happens to be on a non-business day, if it happens to, say, be on a Sunday, like June 1st was,
Monday,
or a holiday, either one, then what they do is that they don't pay it late, they pay it early, which means they didn't pay out the June payments on June 1st. They paid out the June payments at the end of May,
which
on
means
the Friday.
You're able to take your date to Applebee's that Friday.
You got that payment right then.
You don't have to wait till Monday.
Those people remember getting that payment on Friday. They had a good weekend. And so the only reason we ended up with the surplus in the first place was because a bunch of June's payments couldn't come through on a Sunday, so they paid them out earlier, which is still in the month of May, so those payments counted for the month of May. And all of the stuff we just read from you, which was Fugazi.
Probably like $100 billion worth.
Okay. So if it would have been paid out on June 1st, then we would have had a $70 billion deficit still in June. That's the actual number.
What's even more surprising though, and this is when I shift, like most of the time I'm of the belief that, Americans, like, people are smart enough to figure things out themselves, like they don't need any help. People are, and I often think that everyone deserves the right to vote until things like this happen. I'm like, oh, well, they couldn't just take
and
two.
You're like, everyone who reposted those guys' posts on X, we need to get their names, and we need to cross them off the list of people that are allowed to vote.
And in fact, when I first asked you about this, I was like, did you see they had $27 billion surplus? Like, is that real? That was my first question. Is that real?
Is it real? Because that's weird.
Because that doesn't make sense.
It hardly ever happens.
Yeah. So then when you look into it, it's not real.
It's not real, but it doesn't matter if it's real. It gives you the opportunity to post out a headline or talk crap about Thomas Massie. If you randomly bring Thomas Massie into the conversation, if you feel the need to do that.
Grandstander.
You can do that.